Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to NS9 pregame show. I'm your host, Anthony Donardo. Of course, we have Jim. We have Tyler. It is our fourth pregame show here at LECOM Stadium. Fellas, how we doing today?
Doing excellent. Last game here, so that's a little bit of a bummer, but again, couldn't ask for better weather. Pretty good lineup today. Mitch Keller on the mound. Should be a fun one.
Yeah, a little bit of depression's kicking in because we have to get back to real life here next week, but we're going to enjoy this last day. A lot of guys we expect to see this year in the lineup today, so it should be a good one. Absolutely.
I'm loving it. Again, I got to say, the weather's perfect. There's not a cloud in the sky. It is mid-70s, high 70s, I think, if it's a high today. So, like, ending on a good note as far as weather goes. And like you mentioned, Mitch Keller starting today. So, good guy on the mound and a decent lineup. Like, it's pretty much what you'd want to see for the most part, on opening day here. So, a lot of good players playing today.
Yeah, I mean, this is should be a good day for baseball. That's really what it comes down to. So we're going to talk about yesterday's game a little bit. The Pirates were on the road in Fort Myers. They faced off against the Twins, kicked their ass yesterday. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But before we get into everything, I'm going to tell you about Bet Online. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to the NHL and UFC, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.
So today, the Pirates face the Rays here at LECOM. Again, we all know health is the biggest thing. It's still quite early. But before we go into talk about today's game, let's kind of touch up on yesterday's game. Pirates, the offense came through. Pirates scored 12 runs. Guys, we talk about it every time we're here. Can we see some offense? And every time that we're not here, they score some runs. So, hey, big players yesterday. Jack Suwinski, 2 for 3 with a walk. And you know what, Jim? I'll let you say it. The other guy?
Nick Solak.
Nick Solak.
3 hits, 2 doubles, a stolen base. Hey. He just keeps producing. I mean, what more can you ask for out of your non-roster guy? He probably needs to hit like 800 to make this team. And even then, like, some stuff probably needs to happen. But so far, so good out of the non-roster invitee out of the University of Louisville.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a really good job of having other teams get a look at him so that he might be on some team at some point. He might be a fringe guy for another roster. Maybe it's here, but you're right. It's going to take a miracle for him to crack this opening day roster.
I just love the dynamic. Jim's hyping him up about how good he is and how he can make his roster, and Tyler's like, yeah, he's doing really good, though. Showcase for another team. But either way, yeah, them two carry the offense. Again, 12 runs they scored, and then Matt Gorski also, RBI, got in some of the action there too. So yeah, but I guess the biggest takeaway for me, at least, is Jack Suwinski, 2 for 3, walk, strikeout, also 2 stolen bases. We keep talking about how that's going to be a big spring to some level of degree, right, for Jack Suwinski, because like this team is going to need a good version of Jack Suwinski, you would hope. So big game yesterday from him.
Yeah, the upside that Suwinski provides is very important to this team. They have a Tommy Pham that can adequately fill in the outfield, I think, but the upside that Jack Suwinski can provide for them is a game changer for this season. I've been high on him for this entire offseason. I think he might have a 2.5-year WAR season. It might not happen right off the bat. He might struggle to crack the opening day roster, but we're going to see him at some point this year.
We were, I mean, just to remind everybody of this, and you bring up the upside, like we were doing a Sporkle quiz yesterday, right? And it was name all the Pirates with 25-plus homers in a season. And the list isn't that long, guys. Like the Pirates have been around for 150 years. It's not that long of a list. And Jack Suwinski is on that list. Like that's what we're talking about when it's like the problems that this team has. A lot of them not necessarily solved, but Jack Suwinski being productive would be a huge get for this team, because after last year and what he showed you, it's like, what happened, right? And you really want to get him back to that 2023 self. You want to see him even take a step forward from 2023. That's what we were expecting last year. And yeah, so it's a big spring for him. I think he's absolutely competing for a roster spot. You look at the outfield and how it shakes up. You assume you're going Pham, Cruz, Reynolds, but that fourth outfielder spot is open. And the one thing Suwinski does have going for him that maybe a guy like Palacios or Billy Cook can play center, but like Suwinski does have that versatility where he can play all three outfield spots. Maybe not, ideally, but he can do it. Like in a pinch, he can play any spot in that outfield.
Yeah, you're talking about right there. Like, yeah, but Billy Cook can, but they're kind of competing for a spot. And again, we know the upside that Jack Suwinski has. So you're talking about 25-plus home run power. I'll go back to even if he can be the 2023. We can understand how streaky it was, how weird it was, but like production was still there. You're going from a contrasting 2-WAR player to like a negative 2-WAR player from last year. So I'll take 2023 Jack all day long. Like with this lineup offers though is like some platoon potential possibility. Tommy Pham is here. There's limited upside with him, obviously, but you mentioned about the defense. Like Billy Cook can play defense well. We don't know if Billy Cook can hit. We know Jack can. He once did, right? Can that come back? And if it can come back, that's what's going to really help band-aid a lot of these problems that you talked about with this roster.
Yeah, a lot of it I think is going to come down to roster construction on whether Jack Suwinski makes the opening day roster. Another thing that I think will play into it is, personally, I want to see him get every day at bats. That's probably going to happen more likely in AAA. At some point, you will see him on the major league roster, hopefully getting every day at bats or at least somewhat close to that. I think there's more of a chance he does start in AAA, but he's playing himself into a role on this team.
Yeah, as I said, you just want a good spring out of him. You want a good season out of him. Palacios certainly has some. The interesting thing with Palacios as opposed to Suwinski is no options, right? So if Palacios doesn't make this team out of on opening day out of spring training, he's DFA'd, right? Whereas other guys like Suwinski, like Cook, like York, they have that ability to be optioned to AAA. So that is going to play a little bit of a role in there. If everybody's if all things are equal, you probably go with the guy with no options just to maintain everybody. But if Suwinski establishes himself as the clear-cut choice when it comes to a bench bat there, then you're going to have some decisions to make.
Yeah, and I want to say this in the sense of, piggyback off what you're talking about here. This team is built for internal developments. That we saw what the offseason presented. It's not that they brought in the external talent to help carry this team. If this team's going to be good, it's going to come from internal development. So you're talking about your Henry Davises, you're talking about your Jack Suwinskis, right? But also with those being said, I don't foresee a lot of them starting opening day, right? Like this is also let's get them running. Let's get them in AAA. Let's get them going. We have those other guys that can hold their place. So you talk about Palacios and whatnot. So it's also going to be okay. It's also be okay if Jack has a hot spring. You know what? Maybe just go ahead and take a couple at bats in AAA. Get yourself going. Let's bring you up here. I guess knows a little bit, not the best word, but we're more confident in your production going here for the future. So yeah, a lot of these guys are in camp right now. Could have some really good seasons, good spring camps, but you're probably going to see them in AAA to start, and that's fine.
Yeah, another guy who's kind of throwing his hat into the mix here. We weren't really talking much about him, but like Matt Gorski too. He's coming off the big games against Baltimore, but yesterday against Minnesota also with a double, an RBI double. I think he's got 10 RBIs now on the spring. So he's driven in like a third of the Pirates' runs so far, and he's only played in, I think, four games. So, he's hot. It's going to be an interesting battle for these last few spots. There are at least 2 to 3 bench spots up for grabs here, and there's a handful of players that are in the mix for him. So it's going to at least keep spring interesting for the rest of this month.
Right. For sure. And also the guys fighting for those spots, it's nice having them hitting 500 in spring right now. Preface it by, it's only been a week, but it's a lot better when these guys are actually raking the baseball right now, fighting for that last spot rather than which one has not been the worst.
Yeah. Again, there's more to it to earn the job, but you'd rather see guys earn the role than guys getting it by default. And that's what we kind of felt like we've had the past few years on some things. So at this point in time, we talk about the first base battle, we talk about the catching battle. It's nice seeing guys performing who are fighting for that battle.
Yeah, I guess we wanted to, if we're still touched on yesterday before hitting up today's game real quick. Henry Davis was the DH yesterday. He had looked pretty strong early on. 0 for 4 yesterday, 3 strikeouts. So rough day at the plate for Henry Davis. So you look for him to hopefully bounce back from that. But he's looked good behind the plate. He's looked pretty good at the plate so far. Yesterday, just not his best day.
Yep.
Yeah, and also I just want to mention that we don't care about that not good day by Henry Davis because we want Henry Davis to succeed. Jack Suwinski playing well, that means everything. So we're going to pick and choose our battles here. We're going to root for our guys.
Yeah.
And
Jack Suwinski having a good day, that's a good sign.
Yes.
Henry Davis having a bad day,
means nothing.
brush it off.
It's just spring.
Means
no
nothing.
big deal. All right. So let's get in today's game. So as you mentioned, Mitch Keller is taking the mound today. At this point in time, no word on the remaining pitchers. But let's go ahead and talk about Mitch Keller a little bit. So again, his first outing out, he looked pretty good. Again, health. It's all you really want to see, health. He came out looking healthy. He looked pretty solid. So I'm going to, of course, kick it off to Tyler. Now it's his second game, Tyler. Anything different that you want to see out of Mitch Keller today?
Health. But also one thing just to touch on, the last time he pitched, he did see some lefties last year. He struggled a little bit with lefties, performed fine. He's going to see maybe 3 or 4 today with this Rays lineup. Also, another thing to mention, Endy Rodriguez starting behind the plate. 2 years ago, very small sample size, 5 games, I believe, Endy caught from Mitch, over a 9 ERA. Mitch has been one of those guys that he seems to be comfortable with Jason DeLay. He was comfortable with the Joey Bart last year, a little bit comfortable with Grandal, that veteran presence behind the plate. It's something to watch how he develops with some of the younger catchers because he's one of those guys that seems to be really comfortable with the veteran presence behind the plate.
Yeah, I think what I'm looking for out of Keller today, I mean, you saw him in his first start. He was very efficient. He was so efficient in his first start that he had to, when he left the game after 2 innings, he had to go to the bullpen and keep throwing because he didn't throw enough pitches in his 2 innings. So you assume he's going to get 3 innings today. My guess would be pitch count around 45 is what you're looking at for him. Yeah, I would say right now just continuing the stuff looked good on Sunday. That he was hitting 95 with the fastball, so you want to continue seeing that throughout the start as he lengthens his games here. But yeah, good. I mean, let's be efficient. Let's have some strong command. Let's get through your 3 innings. Let's get through them accomplishing what you want to accomplish. The one thing that stuck out to me about his first start was he did get himself into some trouble a couple times, but he was able to clean it up, getting a double play, getting a strikeout with runners on third. So yeah, can he build upon that first outing, stay healthy, stuff look good, show good command, and really just kind of work on the things that he needs to work on to be ready for opening day. Again, he's been in plenty of camps. He knows what he needs to do. But yeah, just continue to look strong and get and accomplish the things that he wants to accomplish.
Yeah. As you can tell, we are very high on dope this spring. And by dope, I mean the Department of Pitching Efficiency.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's what we've been seeing. Mitch Keller, that's some highlights he's been talking about. Of course, Paul Skeens. But yeah, it's like the next step. Like Mitch Keller has been a good, solid pitcher. For the people out there that have polarizing viewpoints on him, he's everything you want to be of number 3. He gives you those innings. He gives you quality innings for the most part. But like this year, he has a little bit of a goal too. Like, why not 200? Like, why not get those innings? So in order to do that, you're going to have to be a little more efficient. And you saw that from his first start.
If Mitch Keller goes 200 innings this year, it's a very, very good sign for this rotation.
Yeah.
They'd be in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
We do have some breaking news, so we can kind of talk on this too. So Braxton Ashcraft also expected to pitch today, which that'll be his first Grapefruit League action, I believe. He pitched on Monday during the rainout, so we hadn't really gotten to see him. But Ashcraft pitching today, David Bednar pitching today, Kyle Nicholas pitching today, and Colin Holderman also pitching today. So our first look at Ashcraft, and then you kind of look at the bullpen, and Holderman, Bednar, Nicholas, three big names out of that bullpen, all guys who are going to be relying on. So yeah, it should be great day for ball. But let's talk about Ashcraft. I'm super high on Braxton Ashcraft. I love this kid. I think the stuff's awesome. I think the command's great. The issue obviously has been the health. Can he pitch over a course of an entire season? He's one of those guys where, like, I think you could plug him into the bullpen right now, but the upside's too high as a starter to just kind of give up on that. He's on a couple top 100 prospect lists. So like this is a guy who, despite just not pitching much, there's still so much to like about him. And I don't know, getting our first view of him today. That's going to be nice just to see what he looks like, what's the stuff look like today. And I said his big thing this spring is going to be stay healthy, build yourself up, go to AAA, and show that you can be a starter.
Yeah, you've probably seen more Ashcraft than both of us. Where would you say his stuff ranks in the organization? Is he maybe a notch below Bubba?
I would say Ashcraft, if you're looking at least like the higher tier guys, yeah, Bubba, then it's Ashcraft number 2.
And then maybe a Harrington below that.
If we're not including the major leaguers. I would maybe even put like a Xander Meath above Harrington in terms of just pure stuff. But yeah, as far as stuff goes, it's tough to get better than Ashcraft, and the way that he's able to couple that with the command,
right?
He's a really, really interesting prospect with a ton of upside. You got to see him pitch more. That's all.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm very excited to see him today. I personally haven't gotten to see much of Ashcraft outside of on TV, so very excited to see him in person. You hear about the stuff, and you've seen it again on TV, but he's a guy I think that's kind of flown under the radar in this organization, and it's likely because of the health issues, but stuff-wise, the results, everything you want to see from Ashcraft, he's done, aside from staying healthy.
Yep. And then to move forward, you definitely have some big players in the bullpen that are going to be hit today. You mentioned with Bednar, Nicholas, and Holderman. And we mentioned efficiency. That's something you're wanting to see out of those 3 as well, especially on the Nicholas side. But yeah, those guys are going to definitely be in the bullpen. Whereas you mentioned with Ashcraft, likely not going to make it opening day by any means. But yeah, so like with those 3, we saw Nicholas, his 2 outings. He certainly has put guys on the bases by walks. Holderman and Bednar, there's some iffiness with them. But yeah, like at this point in time, those are also 2 veterans. They're just kind of feeling their way in. But I guess like what did you like out of David Bednar last time you saw him out here?
I like the velocity he showed. He's right about where he should be for opening day and in the regular season. Aside from that, man, he was still a little bit shaky. I think what we're looking for here is seeing a David Bednar and a Colin Holderman. You want to see them bounce back here. They're vets that have been through these spring trainings. They know what to do. You just want to see a bounce back spot.
Yeah, I mean, for Bednar, I think right now it's just a matter of like getting through spring healthy, getting a full spring in where he feels good about himself at the end of it. Because I mean, that was the issue last year, right? He didn't get spring training. He started off, just didn't really look himself throughout the majority of the year. He had some stretches where he looked like his old self, but overall just not a good year. One thing too that's interesting, we haven't really talked about this, but David Bednar was on foul territory. Derek Shelton was on foul territory while a couple of days ago, and on that show, like he didn't commit to David Bednar as being the Pirates closer. Like he was like, I'm not ready to say that yet. He said that he likes that there's a 2-time All-Star closer on the roster, but he wasn't ready to like anoint Bednar as the closer yet. So I'm not sure if there's really much of a competition here. Like I think David Bednar is going to be the closer opening day, but I mean he was non-committal to it, which was interesting.
Yeah, like the mental game of it. Like it's got to come out and perform again. Last year was a bad year. We all think that he can bounce back from that, but it's not being handed to him. And that's something we've been talking about, I feel like, every spring here too. Like these guys need a battle. Like you want to see battle. You want to see competition. Competition brings out the best of people a lot of times. So like David, and I know you had a great year. You're a Yinzer through and through, 2-time All-Star, but you know what? Show me out there that you're ready to get that role once again.
Yeah, and I like that from Shelton in general. Just kind of putting the veteran guys on notice.
Yeah.
You still do have to earn your spots, especially whenever you're coming off a year as bad as David Bednar had.
Yep. And again, like there are guys in this bullpen with great stuff. At any point in time, Colin Holderman, Kyle Nicholas, like these guys could close, right? Or there's maybe a free agent out there who they still haven't signed yet. I'm still kind of saying they need to go out there and get like a David Bednar backup option. I have trust. I have faith in Bednar that he's going to bounce back, but having kind of a backup option who's a veteran, who's done it before, that would be nice to have in this situation. So like you look at Craig Kimbrell still being out there, David Robertson still being out there, these guys who are still available. Maybe you can get them a little bit cheaper now that it's almost March as opposed to earlier in the offseason. So it'll be interesting to see if they still address this bullpen with anybody new because I think I think there's still some value in having like one other veteran in there that you can kind of count on in case you got to go to them if Bednar doesn't bounce back.
Hey, it never hurts to have more high upside relievers. We saw what happened last year where you're scrambling to try to find guys to close out games when guys are struggling. So having another one of those guys, and maybe one's on the team already with Dennis Santana.
Ooh, that's a good call. I mean, he was the best reliever on that team since those first 3 outings. I want to bring this up. It's good point, but I think it's something we're touching on right now, right? Dave White says they have too many pitchers now, no more pitchers. And again, like that's not a saying. You never have too many pitchers. That's just you injuries happen, guys underperform. And we just keep going back to the Dodgers of last year. I mean, there is just never too many pitchers. So to have another guy come in like you're talking about isn't necessarily a bad thing. Things tend to figure themselves out.
I mean, the Dodgers had Brent Honeywell on their playoff roster at one point last year, right? So you're talking about like, there's no such thing as too many pitchers because you're going to need a lot throughout the course of a season. And I think the Pirates could utilize from having one more guy in that bullpen that you can just count on. Because looking at the bullpen, is there really a guy where you're just like 100% this guy's going to be really good? And I don't really know if you can say that about any reliever in any year. Like I said, I've got
more of the reason.
Like I said, I've got a ton of faith that Bednar is going to bounce back. I truly believe that, but like it would be good to have a safety net in there just in case, sort of like how you had last year with Chapman.
Yeah,
right.
Totally agree.
Which also you thought the bullpen was going to be a strength. I mean, again, like last year, think about it. No more pitching. Look at this bullpen; it's so good. And then what happened to it? It was pretty bad.
Yeah, you added a future Hall of Famer, and it was still bad.
Right. So again, it's never a bad thing to add more pitching. But let's go ahead and kick it off to the offensive side. So Tommy Pham leading things off. I do want to touch on that. The main reason is because today Kutch is playing his second game of the spring so far. And, we're kind of wondering what's going to happen with the leadoff position. Horowitz, you thought was a capable guy. Maybe they're going to put him in there, but obviously he's out. He's going to be out for the first couple weeks at least. So what are they going to do at least in the meantime, or how's it going to shape up in the whole time? Tommy Pham's been leading off. So Kutch has led off. We've been pounding the table, put Kutch at lead off. Twice so far this spring, he's been in the lineup and he hasn't led off. It's been Tommy Pham. So I felt that's something of interest. Tommy Pham, 2025 leadoff hitter.
I don't love it, but you're right. I mean, every time Tommy Pham has played so far, he's been in the leadoff spot. I feel like Pham's better suited for like that 5-6 spot right now. Just because, I mean, you look last year, 305 OBP, 2023, 328, 312. So, like, the OBP hasn't quite been as high as you'd like it to be. With that being said, he is a professional hitter. He's been doing this for a long time. He's someone who knows how to lead off. He can handle the spot. I mean, at this point, I guess if you're just looking at guys, I'd probably rather have Kutch in that spot. But Pham's been getting the looks there, so you gotta assume he's maybe got the inside track to that position. I think overall Horowitz, Kutch, those are probably my 1-2 as far as my picks for leadoff spot. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of Pham there. I'd prefer to see him a little bit lower in the order, but here we are.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's not my favorite thing ever is having Tommy Pham hitting leadoff. If it's more of a temporary move, which it seems to be with Horowitz, hopefully being on track with his injury, you expect him to maybe hit leadoff this year. Pham there, I'm with Jim. It's not my favorite thing in the world. I'm okay with it if it means that other guys get to remain in their spots in the lineup and it's less shuffling this year with guys going up and down and up and down. So if Pham's there for a month or so, it's fine. He's going to give you, like you said, professional at-bats. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Not my favorite thing, but I'm okay with it.
And let me throw this at you. I mean, is it maybe something as of, Kutch, we're lacking power this team? Like, maybe let's sacrifice some on base and get some power in here, put you more in the middle of the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the lineup today, you got to assume this is pretty close to an opening day lineup. Maybe swap out Endy for Bart and then swap out Bryce Johnson for O'Neal Cruz. So those are two middle of the order bats that you would be adding in here. So, but yeah, I mean, you got to assume Reynolds is slotting into that number 2 spot. That's just kind of where he's lived the past couple of years. And then Cruz, Kutch, Bart. those guys kind of hovering in that 3, 4, 5 area. And maybe they got Pham. You have Pham, Reynolds, Cruz, Kutch, Bart, 1 through 5. That's better. It's better 1 through 5 than what we've seen in the past few years.
Yeah, and it deepens 6 through 9 at that point as well, because if you're able to get a Brian Hayes lower in the order,
Go like Gonzalez,
right?
Yeah.
I'm more comfortable with them. Like a Nick Gonzalez, for example, last year he hit a lot in the 5 spot and cleanup spot. He had to be moved there. I'm more comfortable with him hitting in that 7-8 role rather than, for example, in prior years we had Yaz there, we had Hedges there.
Yeah,
like it does deepen the lineup. It's not a roster that we love offensively, but I do think it's a little bit deeper this year.
It for sure is. Next thing of note, Brian Hayes. We seem to talk about him every day. And why is that of note? Because he seems to be in the lineup every day. And I think that's something important. Again, my biggest thing on Brian Hayes is just pure health. Is this guy healthy? Can he be healthy? It doesn't seem as if they're trying to ease him back in. It's like, well, let's take it easy on his back. Let's give you a day off. Let's give you a day off and do it. Like he's playing. And I think, again, I think that's something of note. So he's batting 5th in the lineup today. Going to be playing defensively at 3rd. Brian Hayes, fellas.
You like to see it, right? I mean, you love to see him getting out there. He's playing 3rd too. Like, you're not really seeing him getting eased into things at DH. Like, he's playing on the field. He's getting his 3 at bats in. He's hitting the ball hard. He's kind of from what we've seen in spring, and I do this every year because I see Brian Hayes every spring, and he looks great. He looks great fielding the ball at 3rd. He's hitting the ball hard. He's driving the ball into the gaps. We haven't really seen him pull the ball much this spring. He's doing it a little bit, but for the most part, he's like vintage Brian Hayes, where he's just plugging that 3-4 hole, just hitting the ball hard the other way. And you just want to keep seeing more of it. Again, I am done with buying Brian Hayes stock, I think, for the foreseeable future. But what you want to see him is you want to see him play, which he's doing a lot of, and you want to see him hit the ball hard. And he's doing both of those things this spring. Again, it's spring. It's a different atmosphere here than it is during the grind of a 162-game season. But so far, so good at it, Brian Hayes.
Yeah, the Pirates might not be taking it slow with Brian Hayes this spring. For once, I'm going to go ahead and take it slow on Brian Hayes this spring. I'm not going to anoint him back. I'm not going to say, well, if he does this, then the Pirates will be in better shape. Nope, we're just going to take it slow and steady with Brian Hayes. Slow and steady wins the race here. Let's just keep him healthy, stay productive. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut on him right now.
Yeah, I can't. Stats do not matter. I really don't care what the numbers are at the end of the day with Brian Hayes. The only thing I care about is, does he look healthy? Is he healthy? Can he go out there and probably give you 130 games this year? That's it. Because we know what that Brian Hayes can do. You've wanted better, but that Brian Hayes is still a 3-WAR player. And at this point in time, that is all I'm trying to go after in the sheet. If he can be that, that's great. If he can be more than that, and all the stuff that you're talking about is stuff that you do want to see, how much of a believer in it, that's where I remain skeptic. But he's doing the things you also want to see. That's what can also propel him to the next level. But just be healthy. So far, that's what I'm seeing. Outside of that, Jared Triolo playing first base again. We keep talking about the first base position. What they're going to do? Jared Triolo, of course, is on the 40-man. You assume will be on the 26-man. This could be something where he just simply takes because he's there. So again, Jared Triolo starting off at first base today. And outside of that, Pham, Reynolds, Kutch, Endy, Hayes, Gonzalez, IKF at short, Triolo, and then Johnson at center with Keller pitching is the lineup today. Anything of note you guys want to talk about with the offense today?
I mean, I just touching on Triolo. I mean, I know we've been talking a lot about DJ Stewart, Derek Hall, Matt Gorski. Me.
Some of those
talking
we've been
a lot
talking about.
DJ Stewart. But I mean, Jared Triolo is absolutely going to be on this team, I think. And the fact that first base is open and available, he's got a pretty good shot of kind of taking the reins there if he can put together a solid spring. Just because, again, it's going to be open for a couple of weeks. So who's going to grab it? I said so far it's been nice seeing everyone pretty much competing for that spot, has been producing. So Triolo will get his shot today. I think today's his 2nd start at first base this spring, maybe his 3rd. So he's going to be getting plenty of looks there.
Yeah, he's on the roster. I don't really think there's much that Jared Triolo can show us. We kind of know who he is at this point. You hope there's a little bit more with the bat, I believe. But aside from that, Jared Triolo's here. A guy I kind of want to see today is IKF. I want to see that bat start to play again. We saw when he came over at the trade deadline last year, the bat fell off. You want to see him start to get back to the IKF that he was before. He's not a guy that he was last year before the trade. He's not that kind of hitter. He had the type of year where he played above average, but in general, he's more in that Brian Hayes territory where he's probably going to be a 10% below average type of hitter. The thing is, you want to see him get back to that point because we didn't see it after the trade deadline.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, he's not the guy you saw before the trade deadline. He's not. But he's also not the guy you see after the trade deadline. Now, the one thing, he's reunited with the hit collector as a hitting coach.
I was going to say.
Right? So maybe you start seeing a little bit more towards the first part of the last year than the second half. But absolutely. I mean, we talk about his limitations at shortstop. He's going to have to hit. We like him because the guy doesn't strike out. He makes contact. I mean, that's a good thing. That's one thing that's a lot of teams don't really, you don't see much of that, this year. So him coming over, making contact, and be a utility guy, well, he's going to be the main shortstop this year. So you want to see a little more of the bat because of that. So yeah, he's going to get back on track. He did have a couple walks the other game. Yeah, let's see the bat get going here.
Yeah, I mean, I said it at the time of the trade, and I still stand by it, even after the awful 2 months we saw out of him. Like, I'm a fan of IKF. I like having a guy like that on the team. Again, not quite sure if he's suited for like an everyday shortstop role, but yeah, if he can get back to not hitting exactly like he was in Toronto, but even get close to that, huge help.
For sure. So again, outside of that, Nick Gonzalez batting sixth, second base, nothing new. So yeah, anything else we want to talk about the lineup here before we move on and start giving our predictions?
No, I think that's all we had. It's I said beautiful day. I'm looking forward to watching today.
Absolutely. Last day here, we're going to enjoy it.
Oh, absolutely enjoying it for sure. So then I guess let's get to our predictions. So I guess we'll let Tyler go first again because I don't want to let Jim go first.
Hey, well, we talked a lot about not seeing the long ball this spring. We've seen it from Suwinski. We've seen it from Gorski. Not too much outside of that. Today, I think Brian Reynolds goes deep. Brian Reynolds' home run today, he's been one of the few who has hit it over the wall during batting practice while we've been here. That's my pick to win today.
I like it. Jim.
I'll say Reynolds did look good in BP today. He was crushing the ball.
Lucky I let you go first, bud.
So I'm gonna go go to the pitchers. David Bednar. He gave up a run his last outing. I'm gonna say David Bednar bounces back and he strikes out the side in a scoreless inning today.
Ooh.
Strikes out the side. David Bednar. Take that to the bank.
Nice. All right. So I will say this, and I feel like I say this a couple times too. Like the wind's not really blowing too much today, it feels, but it seems like at game time it picks up. I've been saying Triolo every time since last year. Triolo, you're failing me. I'm moving on. Kutch is back in the lineup, and you know what? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. Kutch had a couple walks the other day, and I said that he was going to strike out looking. That didn't happen.
You notice how it got really quiet whenever he said he was going to strike out looking. Kutch might be around a little bit.
Is he lurking? I'm going Kutch home run.
You know what's going to actually happen now?
What?
Triolo's going to homer.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And Kutch is going to strike out.
Kutch is striking out 3 times today looking, and I'm going to have to tell him to start swinging the bat again, bud, because we can't have this happen. But no, I'm going Kutch home run. I'm feeling the vibes today, guys.
Hey, maybe both of our predictions come true today.
All three.
All three.
Let's do all
Why
three.
not?
Yeah,
Sweet.
we don't really need Jim to be right all the time.
It is a clean sweep. So I guess with that said, let's get out of here. We will be back for the post-game wrap-up, of course. So stay tuned for that. But this is our last day here in Bradenton LECOM. We hope you guys have enjoyed our week here. We appreciate everyone who has watched us and joined us. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and please subscribe. Please like, do all that fun stuff. But with that being said, we out.
I think we're out. See you guys.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
Let's get out of here. We appreciate y'all. Bye-bye.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in, whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube. If you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.